Next up, it is a Nigerian entrepreneur who runs a leading media company that regularly engages over 30 million young people from across the African continent. Can we please welcome Adebola Williams?
Good evening. It's good to be here. President Barack, thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to not taking a selfie with you, but shaking you and hugging you and looking straight in the eye for that photo. You see, Africa is a very exciting place to live as a young entrepreneur. In Nigeria, where I live, a very attractive place to build business. But it wasn't always like this. I was inspired, like Paulo, who we heard in the first session yesterday, to use the media to change the narratives in 2004. I mean, we all know the stories. Young people desperate to leave the country, United States for greener pastures, Italy for prostitution, advanced free forward on the internet, all of these negative stories. There was a pungent smell of helplessness. There was no talk of youth enterprise. No signs of youth engagement in politics. There was very little to be inspired by. In my travels across Africa, from Uganda to Somalia, from Ghana to Senegal, I found that many were faced with this common enemy, helplessness. Helplessness because we're mostly dependent on government, but these governments not dependable. When you have consistently seen careless display of incompetence by leaders, absence of empathy and concerns for citizens, and failure to execute important infrastructural projects, it is easy to feel hopeless. It is easy to feel like you don't have a chance to compete or collaborate with your contemporaries around the world. But in despair lies several opportunities, especially to be pioneers, especially to be great. When we were 18, two friends and I started an initiative to combat the helplessness directly. We formed a company called RED, a social business that inspires young Africans to take social and political action through the power of storytelling. You see, there is no one force stronger and more powerful than an inspired, empowered human being. Likewise, there is nothing more dangerous than a human who is hopeless. He is a ticking time bomb with nothing to live for because he sees no value in himself. What we wanted to do was to build a critical mass of young, hopeful people who believe in the power of their own gifts to create a different future. The currency of this generation is talent, and President Barack and Michelle Obama believe in that, and that is why they've gathered us here today. In our work, the focus has been to build a critical mass of active citizens who believe we deserve more and will challenge systems, uproot oppositions, find and ultimately become the leaders that we desire. Case in point, 5 years ago, we led against the National Assembly of Nigeria a march called Enough is Enough, to demand that the then Vice President be made acting president in the absence of our president who was ill, sick, we didn't know what he was, where he was. Merging pop culture with advocacy, a potent strategy to attract mass youth action. We moved to the city capital, Abuja, with top actors and musicians. This, of course, helped to attract many young people, but mainstream media didn't pay us any attention. But using the power of social, we tweeted Enough is Enough at such volume, it started trending all over the world. The entire slate of media we invited that ignored us started calling, from CNN to BBC, Al Jazeera to NTA. They all wanted in. That day, the government realized that there was a new generation of young people they had to negotiate with. But most importantly, the young people realized that we wielded a new kind of power. Immediately after the march, the president joined Facebook. And 1 year after that, he came from the city capital to Lagos to court young professionals. This was unprecedented. The next task for us was to build media we could control. So we set up whyniger.com, a premium youth perspective platform that gives citizens a voice. You see, I like to say that the media is the most powerful estate in the world. The media shapes, the media defines our colors, our choices. It determines what brands you buy, where you live, what you do. It changes society from Bimbaka girls to take a knee to women now behind wheels in Saudi Arabia. Our daily thought at Why Niger is to teach a critical mass of young people to think, to act, and to grow. Media must drive agendas. Media must shape the conversation. Media must provoke action. And as we realized this, more questions arose. We asked ourselves, how do we help people get the governments they desire? How do we help people get the leaders they believe in or review systems they no longer wanted? To make progress on these questions, we needed to build a structure that is capable of influencing the caliber of leaders that we needed for our collective future. And that was how Statecraft, our nation-building company, was born. With Statecraft, we have been part of 3 successful elections, but the win is truly never about the candidate. It is the fact that the votes of the majorities counted. It is the fact that the voices of the people were heard. And when Nigeria did it, Ghana latched onto it. Now Kenya is tearing hard at it. I look around the continent now, and my heart beams with joy at the strides from enterprise to innovation, advocacy to governance, still growing economies, but Africa is woke. Finally, I have learned, and if we have learned anything in the last 2 days, it is that nothing can be more powerful, as Margaret Mead said, than a committed group, no matter the size. So, the task before us, we must continue to demand. The citizen must never stop demanding of those we have contracted to supply us governance, especially because we have seen the brightest or the hope bearers go to sleep soon as they get the power in their hands. To hold ourselves and our leaders accountable, hope is our weapon, media is our tool, and action is the remedy. The highest office in the land, ladies and gentlemen, is not the office of the president. The highest office of the land is that of the citizen. It is you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adebola.